Hello, today is August. I should have looked that up before I actually started this video. I can't remember. Anyway, it's the beginning of August, and you'll have to excuse my child who's in the background. He's getting close to nap time. So I wanted to do a video. I am currently working on Halloween projects. Yes, it's the beginning of August, but my child's birthday is October 28th, and my favorite holiday is Halloween. So we figured, I figured we wanted to do a one-year birthday party. But what one-year-old actually remembers their birthday party? Nobody. It's really for the parents. So if we're going to do this shindig, I want to have fun, and I want it to really be, for us and all the adults, and, have cool pictures later on that he can look at. So I was thinking we could do a costume party, like a barbecue costume party, since it's so close to Halloween, and then it just so also happens to be his one-year-old birthday party. So I am currently working on costumes for myself, my husband, and the baby. And I pondered between Monsters, Inc., because that's my favorite Pixar movie. I just thought that would be a lot of fun. Or Nightmare Before Christmas. I love Nightmare Before Christmas. And I ended up landing on Nightmare Before Christmas. The reason being is my son is a boy, and when we contemplated making his costume Boo for Monsters, Inc., she's a little girl. So, I mean, I guess, maybe next year. I don't know. And Boo from Monsters, Inc. is a little bit older, so maybe in the future he could be Boo. But this year we're going to have him be Zero, I'm going to be Sally, and my husband is going to be Jack. So I wanted to share the process. This is probably going to go over a couple of different videos. I wanted to share the process of making the different Halloween costumes, because to be quite honest, I've done a ton of internet hunting to see if there's other stuff out there. And while there are other cool costumes for like Jack and Sally, there's not a whole lot of like, how did you do the process? So unfortunately, this isn't going to be a really how did you do the process. I'll explain it as I go along, but you're not going to see step by step me doing it. So sorry, maybe I'll write a blog of how I did it, but later on. But I just kind of want to take you through what I'm working on right now, so you can see and maybe get some ideas from yourself if that's something that you plan on doing in the future. All right, so let's start off with Jack's head, and I'll talk about a little bit about the process of what how I made this. I am not done. I'm still working on this, and I will continue to update it. But this is what I have so far. So this is Jack's head that my husband is going to wear. So how I started this, if you can see on the inside, it's like paper mache. I was trying to find an object. I didn't want to go out and buy a ball because we don't have any room to store a ball. And I remembered that my son did a language study at UCLA a while ago, and they offer these like little gifts, and at one point I grabbed a beach ball. So I blew up a beach ball and covered it with saran wrap, and then paper mache'd it. So it's not a perfect round, but it was close enough. It is free, because you try to keep this as low cost as possible. So I paper mache'd it, and realized that that was not hard enough. And I mean, I could keep paper macheing it, but I thought this was stupid. So there's another video on YouTube with she works on Jack's head, and so she used plaster. So I thought, okay, I'll run to Michael's and get some plaster. So I got plaster, and I plastered the whole thing. Well, I cut out the shapes first, because cutting plaster, it will start to disintegrate and weaken the plaster. So I cut out the hole for the neck, the mouth hole, and the eyes from the paper mache first before I plastered it. Then I plastered it, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this or not. I can't tell if it's focusing or not, but if you look at the plaster, you can see that it's not really smooth, and it's it's just not really smooth, and it's not the consistency that I wanted. So that was great. It was a good way to get it hard. But then I thought, you know, what can I do to really sculpt this? And the nose was nowhere near what I wanted with plaster. I just couldn't get it smooth, and the eyebrows still are not what I want. I still need to do some work on them. So I hunted around online, and I found this stuff called Magic Sculpt. Now, it's not cheap, but you can get it on Amazon, and I wasn't positive how much I was going to need. So I've started the process of Magic Sculpt, and it's these two containers, Magic Sculpt, and one is a hardener and one is a resin, and you mix them together to form the clay that you're going to use, and it's only like, it starts to harden with time. So you want to move quickly and not mix a ton of stuff at once. Just mix a little by little, get what you need to do done, then mix a little bit more, get what you need to do done. So I mixed 2 balls. Started with about 2 balls, and they need to be perfectly even. Otherwise it may not harden quick enough, or it'll harden too quick. So I actually weighed both of the portions that I used out on I have a male scale. So I weighed them out to make sure that they were both exactly the same, and then mixed them together. And it was probably about that big of a ball. And that might have actually been too much to work with right away, because I noticed at the very end it was starting to harden. And so I was able to, I don't know if you can see the color differentiation, but where there's like a more gray is where I have the Magic Sculpt on. I was able to work on his nose. And I want to cover this whole thing with Magic Sculpt, because the nice thing about Magic Sculpt is you can actually grind it, chisel it, sand it down to get it a perfect smooth consistency, which is what I want, because you can't do that with plaster. I mean, you could if it was just plaster. You could, like, if you're going to do a plaster sculpture or something like that. But with this, it won't do it, and it won't do it very well. So I wanted something that I could completely smooth out, make a nice consistency, because I want this to be able to stay long lasting, that we could potentially use as cosplay costumes in the future. So I've never done cosplay, but I think it would be fun, and I want to do this with excellence. So my goal is to do a really good job. So I'm proud of it. So that's the front of him. I'm gonna potentially put some teeth in. I'm not positive yet where that's gonna go. Next I need to work on the eyebrows and sculpt those, and then I'm gonna cover this whole thing, and then I'm gonna sand it down so it's nice and smooth. Because right now, this is, if you can tell, it's really rough. I don't know if it's focusing or not. It's hard for me to tell. It's really rough, and the Magic Sculpt was starting to harden. And so it was getting to be really hard to like smooth out and get to stay on this. But it sticks to other stuff really well, and it just adhered to the plaster no problem. So I was really happy with that. The downside is it's starting to get a little bit of weight on it. So my goal is I want to go to like a thrift store and see if I can find like a used bike helmet to go in there. I don't know if that'll fit. I don't know. I'll see what I can do. Because my goal is, I want it to be able to sit comfortably on my husband's head. I don't want him to be uncomfortable while he's wearing this, and even if we could strap it in, because once you put this on, if you look at Jack Skellington, he's a really tall figure, and he has, you can see his neck, and he's tall. So it's like, okay, either make my husband wear stilts, which I'm not going to make him do, or maybe move the head up a little bit. So when you put this on, the downside is it goes straight to the shoulders, and it just looks really odd. It doesn't look like Jack Skellington. So I was thinking of putting the helmet in there, which would set the head higher, and your eyes would actually line up with the mouth, and I would paint, here, let me show you. So as you can see, like, my chin is showing, my neck is showing. So I would paint a white line down the neck, paint this all black so it looks like a neck, and it would set high so he's a little bit higher off the shoulders. Whew, sorry. So he's a little bit higher off the shoulders. So I'm gonna go look to see if I can find just like a used bike helmet somewhere at a thrift store shop. The downside is Magic Sculpt is not exactly cheap, and I wasn't quite sure how much to get. So I got a 5-pound thing. I don't know if that was entirely necessary for this, but there's future projects I'm sure I'll need it for if I really get into this. I'm always working on something. So that's Jack. And I'm debating if I'm going to make a second video for Sally or if I'm going to include it all in the same video, because this is going to get pretty long. Alright.